What's up YouTube, Erbwars here, back with another video, and in today's exciting episode, yes exciting, I say that because I get to add another console to my never-ending video game collecting goal, and that is to have them all. And today I get to add a console that I've wanted since the early 90s, since my brother and cousins and all exposed this to me, and that is the Neo Geo AES. Let's take a look. Alright guys, so you heard me right, the Neo Geo AES, which was the consoleized version of the Neo Geo MVS. That's the MVS-X, that's not the actual MVS. Although I do have an MVS in my garage that's just currently not playing right. So, little backstory, in the early 90s, I specifically remember going to Philadelphia to my uncle's house. We used to go up there all the time because all of our family was from up there. And I remember we got sent to a grocery store. Well, it was like a corner deli / mini grocery. That's what they have a lot in the city. And we had to go there specifically just to play Mortal Kombat 2 because they had the arcade. We didn't have to pick anything up. But my cousin Luke told us that there's a Mortal Kombat 2 there. And me being the younger brother, I remember going down there. And did I actually get to play? No. But I got to watch all the older kids play. And the one kid who owned the store, the grocery store, it was his mom's store, he was telling us about the Neo Geo, and that's the first time I've ever heard of the Neo Geo. And he was explaining to us like the different fighting games, and he was talking about how, like, you know, Fatal Fury, and I didn't even get to see what it was back then because in the 90s, the internet wasn't what it was now. You know, actually we didn't even get a computer till like 95 or 96, so it wasn't like something that you could just Google. I mean, I know all the people my age understand that, but the younger crowd might not understand that. And he was explaining to us that there was a console-ized version of the arcade games that you could put in the console, and I was like a console, like a game like the NES, or I mean the Super Nintendo and Genesis, and he's like, yeah, but it's better. It actually plays the arcade games, and he was explaining this to me, and I just visualizing it in my head, and it's not what I thought it would be, because I mean, when you're a kid and you think of things, it's never exactly what you think it might be. But man, was I, you know, enthralled when I think I saw it in a video game magazine. Now, truthfully, I've never known anybody as a child or an adult that actually owns one of these, besides people I met on the internet through this video game hobby. And it's always been a dream of mine to have one. And a few years ago, I bought the Neo Geo CD, which was, again, it was just their version of the Neo Geo, but it was a CD version, and so there's a lot of loading, and I mean, I love the Neo Geo CD, but it's not as accurate because you have loading and stuff like that. It was a cheaper version for consumers because this was very expensive, and even if I did see this in the store as a kid, there was no way in hell I was getting one. But here's what the boxes look like, and just to get a comparison of like a CD, I mean, they are ginormous, and that's because the games are ginormous. Let's go ahead and take out a game, just so you can understand how big they are. Here we go. Here's Real Bout and Art of Fighting 2. This is the size of the cartridge, so they're very big cartridges, and super excited to finally own one. Now, when I picked up my Neo Geo CD a few years ago, I picked up a Japanese version one that was modded where it could play Japanese and American games, but the way that the mod works, and it's the same thing with the AES, is you use that Unibios 4, and it basically changes Japanese games to English, so it's actually cheaper to purchase Japanese games, which is why my Neo Geo CD collection is all Japanese games, but they all play in English. So, back to the Neo Geo AES, I know, ADD, sorry. I picked it up I'd say about 3 weeks ago, maybe 4 weeks ago, and it came with Samurai Spirits. It was a good bundle. I was excited to finally get it, and again, this one's modded where it plays Japanese and American games because it has that chip. It was in great condition, and I picked it up, and it came with this controller, which was not the controller I wanted. I did get it from Japan, but I picked it up because it was already modded for me. I didn't have to open it up and do anything, and it was already serviced. It was recapped and all that. So this is the controller it came with. This is known as like the bean controller, and it was fine. I was like, okay, that's cool. When I get more money, to put more money down, I'll pick up the other controller. Well, so then I went on eBay and I was like, oh, look, here's a US seller selling the other controller that I actually wanted. So I was able to pick that up. So far, my little AES collection consists of Samurai Spirits 1, or Samurai Showdown 1. Sorry, I was trying to think of the American name. It consists of Fatal Fury 2, which these games are so much fun, but the difficulty, you got to get really good at them. Art of Fighting 2, and my last game is King of Fighters 94. I want to get a lot more games for this console, but they're just very expensive, and I have to be smart about the collecting of this. I'm going to have to pick up a game here and there. It's not something I'm going to be picking up a lot of because they're, they could be pretty expensive. And games that I really want to add, I mean, there's games that are just unreachable. Like, I would love to get Mark of the Wolves, but I highly doubt that I'm going to be able to find one at a decent price. I would love to get Neo Turf Masters, Magician Lord, Metal Slug. I would love to get the whole King of Fighters series. I don't know, because there's some of them that are pretty expensive. SNK versus Capcom, that would be a good game to get. Anyways, guys, there's a bunch of games that I would love to get, but the moral of the story is I finally got a console that I've wanted since the early 90s, and this is the first time I've ever actually played it, because like I said, I've never known anybody to have it. And even when I started getting really into the hobby in the early 2000s, and I started Googling and was able to start seeing stuff, I've never known anybody to own it. So I've never actually played the AES until a couple of weeks ago, and let me tell you, it's really cool and it's really exciting to finally own a piece of video game history, the Neo Geo AES. This means I think I currently own, no, I'm missing one SNK console, and we'll get to that hopefully soon. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, Erbwars out.